The eternal conclave of the Galactic Confederation had never experienced silence quite like this. The massive crystalline chamber, normally filled with the subtle harmonics of 17 different species communicating in their native tongues, fell completely still as the hologram materialized in its center. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood alone, her simple gray uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes of the alien representatives surrounding her. The first human to ever address the conclave didn't wait for permission to speak. "For 3 centuries, you've watched our world from the shadows," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "You've documented our wars, our struggles, our apparent technological infancy. You've labeled us primitive, violent, unworthy of contact. Today, that changes." High Speaker Valith, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns of agitation, raised a limb for silence. "Human, you have no authority to address this assembly. Your presence here violates countless protocols. How did you even reach this chamber?" A slight smile crossed Chen's face. "The same way we've been reaching every corner of your confederation for the past 50 years. The same way we've been observing your observations of us. The same way we've been preparing for this moment." The chamber erupted in overlapping waves of alien speech. Some delegates demanded immediate security intervention. Others called for the human's arrest. A few simply stared at Chen with expressions that transcended species barriers. Pure, unfiltered shock. "Impossible," declared Valith. "Our surveillance networks are perfect. Our quantum barriers are impenetrable. No primitive world could." Chen raised her hand, and suddenly every piece of advanced technology in the chamber, from personal communicators to the massive security systems, went dark. In the sudden dimness, only her hologram continued to glow. "Your understanding of quantum mechanics is impressive, but incomplete," Chen continued calmly. "While you built your empire on the foundations of space-time manipulation, humanity took a different path. We didn't just learn to bend reality. We learned to step outside it entirely." The lights returned, but the silence remained. Even Valith's crystalline form had stopped its agitated flickering. 3 days ago, we neutralized your observation posts around Earth. Not by destroying them, by simply shifting them into a parallel probability state. They still exist, but in a reality slightly adjacent to our own. Your crews are unharmed, though likely confused." A low murmur of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Senior Delegate Xanthor, their tentacles coiled tightly in distress, spoke up. "If what you claim is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue to develop in secret?" "Because the galaxy stands at a crossroads," Chen replied. "Your Confederation's technological stagnation is not just holding back potential member species, it's leaving you vulnerable to threats you can't even imagine yet. Humanity could simply wait for your empire to crumble under its own weight, but we've seen enough of isolation and conflict." She gestured, and a complex holographic diagram appeared beside her, a mathematical proof that made several scientific delegates gasp audibly. "This is our gift to you. Proof that reality is far more complex and far more wonderful than your current models suggest. Consider it a demonstration of our goodwill and our first contribution to a new era of genuine cooperation." High Speaker Valith's voice carried a new note. "Uncertainty. And if we refuse this cooperation, then humanity will proceed without you," Chen stated simply. "We'll continue to advance, to explore, to grow. We'll make contact with other species you've deemed unworthy, share our discoveries with those you've held back. The age of the Confederation's absolute authority is over, one way or another. The only choice you have is whether to be part of what comes next." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You have 48 hours to begin preliminary discussions on restructuring the Confederation into a true collaborative alliance. After that, humanity will begin implementing changes unilaterally." "Is that a threat, human?" Valith demanded, his crystalline form pulsing with dangerous frequencies. "No, High Speaker. It's a promise of inevitability. We've spent centuries preparing not just technologically, but philosophically. We've learned from our own bloody history what happens when advanced civilizations choose domination over cooperation. We won't allow that pattern to continue on a galactic scale. A hologram shifted, showing scenes from human history, wars, famines, environmental disasters, and then the remarkable recovery and unification that followed. Humanity faced extinction 17 times in our recorded history. Each crisis forced us to evolve, to think differently, to solve problems your species never encountered in your comfortable dominance. We don't want your empire. We want something better. A galaxy where every species can reach its full potential. Chen's hologram began to fade. 48 hours, representatives of the eternal conclave. Choose wisely. As her image disappeared, the chamber erupted into chaos. But High Speaker Valeth remained still, his crystalline form reflecting the light in patterns that hadn't been seen in the chamber for millennia. Patterns of fear. Dr. Elena Martinez stood before the holographic display in the depths of humanity's most secret facility, 3 kilometers beneath the Atacama Desert. The quantum probability map pulsed with ever-shifting patterns as it tracked the Confederation's frantic response to Ambassador Chen's announcement. "They're mobilizing their fleet," observed General Zhang, his weathered face illuminated by the hologram's glow. 17 capital ships have already jumped to their forward bases. Elena nodded, unsurprised. Exactly as predicted. Fear always triggers a military response first. She gestured, expanding a section of the display. But look here. The quantum fluctuations around their civilian research stations have increased by 300%. Their scientists are already working on the mathematical proof we provided. The facility's central chamber hummed with barely contained power. The Nexus Core, humanity's greatest achievement, channeled energy from between realities, powering everything from Earth's hidden defenses to the probability manipulation fields that had kept their true capabilities hidden for so long. "Director Chen's report just came in," said Dr. Karen Patel, entering the chamber with a tablet displaying streams of data. "The Confederation's High Council is in emergency session. 3 factions have emerged. The militarists pushing for immediate action, the progressives advocating for negotiation, and the conservatives paralyzed by indecision." Elena smiled. "Right on schedule. Humanity's greatest advantage isn't our technology. It's our understanding of how species react to paradigm shifts." She turned to face the assembled team of Earth's top scientists and military leaders. "We've spent 50 years preparing for this moment, not just developing the technology, but understanding the psychology of a civilization that's never faced a real challenge." A hologram shifted, showing the history of humanity's secret advancement. It began with the discovery of the quantum nexus phenomenon in 2157, when a failed particle acceleration experiment produced unexpected results. A tear in reality itself. Instead of disaster, humanity found opportunity. While their observers watched our primitive space programs and documented our apparent struggles with basic fusion power, we were already learning to step between realities. Elena continued. Every failed experiment, every apparent setback, was carefully choreographed to maintain their assumptions about our capabilities. General Zhang pointed to a section of the display showing the Confederation's observation posts around Earth. The hardest part was developing our technologies without leaving an energy signature they could detect. That's why we built everything underground. Why we routed power through quantum channels instead of conventional grids. And why we maintained the facade of international competition and conflict, added Karen. Their psychological models predicted we were centuries away from global unification. The Earth Defense Council has operated in total secrecy for 50 years, coordinating humanity's true progress while the world's governments played out a carefully scripted drama of gradual cooperation. Elena walked to the Nexus Core, placing her hand on its smooth surface. The device looked deceptively simple, a sphere of what appeared to be black glass, 2 meters in diameter. But within it, energies beyond conventional physics flowed between countless parallel realities. The Confederation built their empire on mastery of spacetime, she said. They can fold space, create stable wormholes, manipulate gravity itself, but they never looked beyond their own reality. They never imagined that the universe they knew was just one page in an infinite book. The hologram updated with new data. More Confederation ships were moving, but their patterns suggested confusion, not coordinated action. Their command structure, unchanged for millennia, was struggling to handle a situation outside their experience. Their civilization is built on absolute certainty, Elena explained. Certainty in their technological superiority, certainty in their right to guide lesser species, certainty in their understanding of physical laws. We're not just challenging their power, we're challenging their entire worldview. Karen's tablet chimed with an alert. The first research stations are confirming our mathematical proofs. Their theoretical physicists are already arguing about the implications. Of course they are, Elena said. We designed that proof specifically to appeal to their scientific mindset. It's like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs, each step logical, each conclusion inescapable, leading them inevitably toward understanding how limited their current models are. General Zhang studied the tactical displays. Their military response is exactly what we anticipated. Impressive but ultimately meaningless. They're deploying ships equipped to handle any threat they can imagine, but nothing they have can counter technology that operates on principles they don't even understand yet. And that's why we're not worried about their fleet movements, Elena concluded. You can't fight what you can't comprehend. But more importantly, you can't fight an enemy who doesn't want to be your enemy at all. She brought up Ambassador Chen's speech again, focusing on the reactions of individual council members. Look at their expressions, their body language. The younger species, the ones more recently absorbed into the Confederation, they're showing signs of hope, not fear. They recognize the opportunity we're offering. The opportunity to be truly equal, Karen said softly. Not subordinate members of an empire, but partners in exploration and discovery. Elena nodded. The next 48 hours will reshape the galaxy, but not through war or conquest, through the one force more powerful than any weapon we've developed. What's that? Asked General Zhang. The irresistible allure of new possibilities, Elena replied, watching the quantum probability map shift and flow. We're not here to destroy their civilization. We're here to help it evolve. And deep down, they know they need this change as much as we do. The Confederation battlecruiser Eternal Vigilance hung in space at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. On its command deck, Fleet Commander Xarel watched the tactical displays with mounting frustration. Another probe gone, reported his sensor officer, a member of the serpentine Nith species, just like the others. No damage, no energy signature, simply gone. The Xarel's bioluminescent patterns flickered with suppressed anger. Every attempt to penetrate Earth's defenses had met the same result. Not destruction or deflection, but complete disappearance. It violated every principle of warfare he'd studied in his 3 centuries of service. Commander, his communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from inside the ship." The main view screen activated without command, showing Ambassador Chen sitting in what appeared to be a simple office. "Fleet Commander," she said pleasantly, "I trust our point has been made." Xarel's patterns flashed crimson. "How are you doing this?" "Our quantum encryption is excellent against any attack operating within normal spacetime," Chen interrupted. "But we're not in normal spacetime, Commander. I'm speaking to you from a probability layer slightly adjacent to your reality. To put it simply, we're having this conversation in the space between moments." In the Confederation's High Council chamber, the debate had devolved into chaos. High Speaker Valith's crystalline form vibrated with barely contained fury as younger species representatives openly questioned centuries of doctrine. "The humans have provided proof of their claims," argued Delegate Tren, her feathered crest rippling with excitement. "Their mathematical models explain anomalies our science has ignored for millennia. We cannot simply dismiss this. We dismiss nothing. Valith resonated. We consider, we study, we verify. That is our way. We do not append the stability of 1,000 worlds based on one species' claims. Your way, countered Delegate Sora, their plasma-based form pulsing intensely, has kept my people restricted to Class 3 technology for 800 years. How many other discoveries have been suppressed in the name of stability? Back on the eternal vigilance, Xarl watched in disbelief as sensor data poured in. The humans weren't just blocking their scans, they were allowing the Confederation ships to see exactly what they wanted them to see. These readings, his science officer reported, they're impossible. Energy patterns that shouldn't exist, particles moving backward through time, spaces that are somehow both here and not here. Not impossible, Chen corrected gently. Simply beyond your current framework. Tell me, Commander, in all your years of service, have you ever questioned why the Confederation's technology has barely advanced in the past millennium? Before Xarl could respond, new images appeared on his screens, classified records from deep in the Confederation's archives. They showed similar discoveries to what humans had achieved, made by various member species over the centuries. All had been quietly suppressed, their researchers reassigned, their findings buried. Your civilization chose stability over progress, Chen continued. It's an understandable choice, given your history. But the universe doesn't reward stagnation. Change is coming, Commander. The only question is whether your people will help shape it or be shaped by it. In a secure facility beneath Geneva, Dr. Elena Martinez and her team monitored the quantum probability streams. Every interaction, every conversation, every decision point created ripples in the underlying fabric of reality. The younger species are responding exactly as predicted, noted Kiran. Their neural patterns show increased activity in regions associated with hope and possibility. The older species, especially the founding members. Fear, Elena finished. Fear of losing control, fear of the unknown, fear of change itself. But fear can be overcome with understanding. She gestured at the probability map. Look there, pockets of acceptance are already forming in their scientific communities. The proof we provided is doing its work. Across Confederation space, researchers who had spent centuries working within rigid boundaries suddenly found themselves confronting evidence that those boundaries were artificial. The humans' mathematical models weren't just revolutionary. They were elegant, beautiful in their simplicity once you accepted their basic premises. In the High Council chamber, a young scientist from one of the founding species broke centuries of protocol by speaking without recognition. "High Speaker," she said, her crystalline form vibrating with barely contained excitement. "We've verified the human calculations. They're not just correct, they're complete. They explain everything our models couldn't, everything we dismissed as measurement error or quantum uncertainty. And more importantly," added another researcher, their gaseous form swirling with agitation, "they show us how to replicate their results. This isn't just theory. It's a practical pathway to technologies we never imagined possible." Valith's form had stopped its angry pulsing, settling into patterns that suggested deep thought. "Even if what you say is true," he resonated slowly, "the implications for our civilization are exactly why we chose to reveal ourselves now." Came Chen's voice as her hologram appeared in the chamber once again. "Your civilization stands at a crossroads. You can embrace change and help guide it, or resist and be left behind. But understand this, the change itself is inevitable." She gestured, and suddenly the chamber itself seemed to shift, its walls becoming transparent. The council found themselves seemingly suspended in space, watching as Earth's sun rippled with impossible energies. "What you're seeing is real," Chen explained. "We've shifted the chamber partially out of normal space-time to give you this perspective. Your empire is built on manipulating space. We've learned to step outside it entirely. And we want to share this knowledge, not hoard it." The display shifted again, showing visions of possible futures, worlds transformed by the application of human discoveries, species working together to explore not just space, but the infinite layers of reality itself. This is our offer, Chen concluded. Not submission to human authority, but true partnership, a new confederation, dedicated not to maintaining stability through control, but to achieving harmony through shared discovery. As the chamber returned to normal, the council members sat in stunned silence. Finally, Valeth spoke, his tone carrying an emotion no one had heard from him before: humility. Perhaps, he resonated softly, it is time for us to learn something new. Deep within the Confederation's military command center on Axis Prime, Admiral Kref watched the tactical displays with growing desperation. The most powerful fleet ever assembled in Confederation history. Over 3,000 capital ships, hung motionless in space, rendered powerless by an invisible force they couldn't even detect. "Try the quantum drives again," he ordered, his chitinous exoskeleton clicking with agitation. No response. "Admiral," his chief engineer reported, "whatever the humans are doing, it's affecting all our advanced systems. We're being held in some kind of probability stasis." In the Confederation's Emergency Council chamber, the crisis had reached its peak. Supreme Military Commander Dax slammed his gravitically enhanced fist onto the ancient table, causing ripples in the very fabric of space-time. "We cannot allow this insult to stand," he roared, his warrior-cased markings glowing with rage. "These upstarts threaten everything we've built over 10,000 years. I say we deploy the reality bombs. If they can step between dimensions, we'll destroy all dimensions they might hide in." A horrified gasp swept through the chamber. The reality bombs were the Confederation's ultimate weapon, capable of unraveling the quantum structure of space itself. They had never been used, their mere existence kept secret from most member species, and risked destroying the very fabric of existence, countered Science Director Liana, her energy form flickering with intensity. "The humans' mathematical proofs show that reality is far more interconnected than we knew. Such weapons could trigger a cascade that would unravel everything, including us." Ambassador Chen's hologram appeared again, but this time she wasn't alone. Dr. Elena Martinez stood beside her, along with representatives from Earth's various scientific and military councils. "Your weapons won't work, Commander Dax," Elena said calmly. "We detected and neutralized them 3 years ago. Did you really think we would reveal ourselves without taking precautions?" Dax's markings flared supernova bright. "Impossible. The reality bombs are protected by temporal locks. No one cold. Your temporal mechanics are impressive but fundamentally flawed," Elena interrupted, bringing up a complex mathematical visualization. "You try to lock objects in time, but time itself is just another dimension to be stepped around. We didn't disable your weapons. We shifted them into a probability state where they never existed at all." In orbit around Earth, General Zhang monitored the situation from humanity's newly revealed flagship, the Paradigm. Unlike the crystalline majesty of Confederation vessels, the Paradigm was almost invisible to normal spacetime, existing partially in multiple reality layers simultaneously. "Fleet status," he asked his quantum operations officer. "The probability field is holding, sir. 3,217 Confederation ships remain in temporal suspension. Their crews are unharmed but completely unable to affect normal spacetime." Back in the council chamber, a new voice cut through the chaos. Senior Delegate Xanthor, one of the oldest living members of the Confederation, raised all 4 of their appendages for attention. "I have seen this moment before," they announced, their voice carrying the weight of millennia. "Not this exact situation, but its pattern. Every great civilization reaches a point where it must choose between evolution and extinction. We face that choice now." The chamber grew quiet as Xanthor continued. "Look at what the humans have shown us. Not just their technological achievements, but their understanding of them. They could have used this power to destroy us, to take whatever they wanted. Instead, they offer partnership." "Partnership," Dax scoffed. "They hold our fleet hostage." "No," Chen corrected. We demonstrate our capabilities while ensuring no one can act rashly. Your ships and crews are perfectly safe. Unlike reality bombs, our methods don't risk universal destruction. Elena stepped forward, her expression serious. We've spent centuries watching you, learning from your achievements and your mistakes. Your Confederation brought stability to a chaotic galaxy. That's an incredible achievement. But stability without growth becomes stagnation, and stagnation eventually leads to collapse. She gestured, and the chamber filled with new holographic displays showing quantum probability streams, the complex mathematics of possible futures. These are the futures we've calculated. Continue on your current path, and within 3 centuries, your Confederation collapses under its own weight. Too many suppressed discoveries, too many species held back from their potential, too much pressure building beneath the surface of your enforced stability. The displays shifted, showing alternative timelines. But if we work together, combining your experience with our new perspectives, the possibilities are endless. Not just technological advancement, but cultural and philosophical evolution. A true civilization of equals, each contributing their unique insights to a greater whole. Science Director Liana's energy form pulsed with excitement. The mathematical models support this. The humans' proofs don't just explain quantum mechanics. They suggest patterns for societal development, for the evolution of consciousness itself. Precisely, Chen agreed. Because reality isn't just physical laws. It's the interaction of matter, energy, and consciousness across infinite dimensional layers. Your civilization mastered the manipulation of space-time. We learned to surf the waves of probability itself. Imagine what we could achieve together. Xanthor raised themselves to their full height. I have spent 12 centuries serving this confederation. I have seen us face threats from outside and within. But never have I seen an opportunity like this. They turned to face the council. We stand at a crossroads. We can cling to our fear, our pride, our illusion of control, or we can embrace a new path forward. Commander Dax's markings had dimmed, his rage giving way to uncertainty. And if this is all a deception, then we'd have already lost. Liana interrupted. Don't you see? They could have destroyed us at any time. Instead, they spent years carefully planning how to introduce these concepts in ways we could understand and verify. They're not conquerors, they're teachers. Throughout Confederation space, the quantum probability streams were shifting. In countless laboratories, scientists pored over the humans' mathematical proofs, finding not just validation but new insights. On thousands of worlds, younger species looked to the skies with renewed hope. And in the great fleet hanging powerless in space, crews began to understand that they faced not an enemy, but a revolution in thought itself. 1 year after humanity's revelation, the Great Hall of the Nexus Assembly bore little resemblance to the old Confederation Council chamber. Gone were the rigid hierarchies and ornate symbols of power. In their place, representatives from every species sat in a circular arrangement that shifted and flowed like the quantum probability streams themselves. Ambassador Chen stood at the center of the hall, but now she was just one voice among many. Beside her, High Speaker Valith's crystalline form glowed with patterns that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Harmonics of change and adaptation, rather than authority and control. The transition has exceeded all projections, Chen reported, gesturing at the holographic displays showing the state of former Confederation space. Over 800 research institutes have successfully replicated our quantum nexus technology. 17 species previously classified as pre-spacefaring have made breakthrough discoveries in dimensional physics. And more importantly, added Science Director Liana, her energy form pulsing with excitement, we're seeing entirely new applications we never imagined. The NITH have combined their bioengineering with quantum probability manipulation. The Tsar Collective has discovered ways to communicate across dimensional barriers. In Earth orbit, the paradigm now served as a teaching center rather than a warship. Dr. Elena Martinez walked through its reality-shifting corridors with former Admiral Kref, whose initial hostility had transformed into insatiable curiosity. The most fascinating aspect, Krev clicked enthusiastically, is how each species approaches the technology differently. Our rigid thinking held us back for millennia. We assumed there was only one correct path of development. Elena nodded, stopping at a viewport that showed multiple layers of reality simultaneously. That's why we insisted on immediate sharing of the technology. Progress isn't just about discovery, it's about perspective. Each species sees different possibilities, different applications. Back in the assembly hall, Commander Dax, now Director of Strategic Innovation, addressed the gathered representatives. His warrior markings had been reformed into symbols of transformation. 1 year ago, I advocated for war, he acknowledged. I couldn't see past my fear of change, my need for control. Today, I lead a team exploring defensive applications of quantum technology that don't rely on destruction. We don't need reality bombs when we can simply shift threats into harmless probability states. Senior Delegate Xanthor, their ancient form somehow seeming more vibrant than ever, raised an appendage. Let us not forget the cost of our previous stagnation. The human archives have revealed dozens of species we dismissed or suppressed over the millennia. Our first task must be to reach out to them, to offer the opportunities we once denied. The quantum probability displays showed the ripple effects of these changes spreading across the galaxy. Species that had been locked in competition now collaborated, sharing insights and discoveries. The rigid boundaries between technological tiers had dissolved, replaced by a flowing exchange of ideas. There have been challenges, Chen admitted. Change at this scale doesn't come easily. But look at what we've achieved in just 1 year. The quantum communication network already connects 90% of former Confederation worlds. Travel times between systems have been reduced by factors of thousands through dimensional shifting. And we've only begun to understand the possibilities, added Elena, her hologram joining the assembly from the paradigm. Our latest models suggest consciousness itself operates across multiple reality layers. We're not just advancing technology, we're expanding our understanding of what it means to exist. In laboratories across the galaxy, scientists of all species work together, each bringing their unique perspectives to shared challenges. The Confederation's carefully maintained technological hierarchies have been replaced by an explosion of innovation and cross-pollination of ideas. The assembly hall itself served as a symbol of this transformation. Its walls shifted between dimensional states, sometimes transparent to show the infinite possibilities of space, sometimes displaying the quantum probability streams that connected all reality. The very architecture reflected the new understanding that rigidity was an illusion, that true strength came from adaptation and flow. We stand at the beginning of a new age. Valith resonated, his crystalline form catching and refracting light in complex patterns. Not an age of control and hierarchy, but one of endless discovery and collaboration. Chen smiled, watching the probability streams flow. That was always humanity's true strength, you know. Not our technology, not our ability to step between realities. It was our understanding that true power comes from embracing change, from facing the unknown with hope rather than fear. The displays showed new vessels launching from shipyards across the galaxy, not warships, but exploration vessels designed to probe the deepest mysteries of space-time. Teams of mixed species crewed these ships, each bringing their unique perspectives and abilities to the greatest adventure in galactic history. We have redefined what civilization means, Xanthor observed. No longer a force for stability through control, but a collaborative journey into infinite possibility. In the quantum streams that connected all reality, the future unfolded in countless branching paths. But in every probability strand, the pattern was clear. The age of stagnation was over. A new dawn had broken across the galaxy, powered not by dominance or fear, but by the combined potential of all sentient beings working together. Humanity had achieved its greatest victory not through force or threat, but by showing the galaxy a better way forward. The revolution they had sparked would continue to ripple through space and time, transforming not just technology and society, but the very nature of existence itself. As the assembly concluded its session, the quantum probability streams pulsed with patterns of potential, each one brighter than the last. The future was no longer a single predetermined path, but an infinite canvas of possibility, and every species now held the brush to paint upon it.